us now is Jeff Cox of Hillcrest Farms in Wytheville, Virginia. Jeff was one of our colt starting competitors at the Everything Equine Expo. I know you're going to enjoy hearing his details about the experience and about training this colt in the finale. So Jeff, tell us a little bit about yourself and your horse experience and your farm.
Hello, like Miss Rose said, I'm Jeff Cox with Hillcrest Farm in Wytheville, Virginia. I have been starting and training colts for a little bit over 30 years now, and it's always been my passion in life. Of course, we do finish some horses out, and we show now in the ranch horse division. We have also shown in halter, Western Pleasure, Hunter under saddle. If you can do it on the back of a stock horse, we have probably gone and done it at some point.
That's really cool, and so you have a very diversified box of tricks.
Yes, ma'am. We do stock horses for the most part, quarter horses, paints, Appaloosas, but we try to do as much with one horse as we can. We don't like having to take a trailer load of horses to a show. We like to take one horse to that show and be able to do a lot of things with it.
Well, I think that's really good, and most stock horses are kind of bred to be all-around performance horses, so that gives you a lot of opportunities to do different venues with them and disciplines.
Yes, ma'am. It's sort of putting all your eggs in one basket, but if you look at it, we don't have to have 5 or 6 horses out in the field to go do 5 or 6 jobs. We've got one horse that can go do 5 or 6 jobs.
Which is actually the way it would be if you were on a big ranch out west.
Absolutely, and that's the ultimate goal. We have been at our current location we've lived there for a little better than 3 years, but that is our ultimate goal with it, is to be able to work everything off the back of a horse.
That's wonderful. You know, that's something that I hope that our society and culture never loses, is the Western lifestyle and the cowboy lifestyle.
I've always said, what we do every day when we go out and saddle up, it's a tribute to where this country started. It was all started on the back of a horse, people.
Absolutely.
And that doesn't get near enough recognition.
Absolutely, Jeff. You're 100% right. Well, now let's talk about the expo. Tell me a little bit about how you selected the colt that you worked with.
Well, the selection, the colts were in, and what I did, I just sort of stood back behind everybody. They were going up, and they wanted to, of course, pet the horses and everything, and just sort of wanted to kind of get an idea how the colts reacted to the people, as well as how they sort of interacted with the horses on each side of them. I feel like I was very lucky. I was number 3 to choose my colt, and I actually got the horse that I wanted. So I felt very fortunate in that. You can tell a lot about them, but you really don't know till you get in that round pen with them and start pushing them around what you've got. But I was very pleased with my choice. And
what kind of criteria were you looking for in the one you selected?
I was sort of looking for a calm demeanor, a horse that, and I actually saw this happen. One of the spectators sort of walked up and pushed on her, and she went away without a fuss. Mm-hmm. Especially for a colt starting competition, I felt like I needed something that wasn't really going to be rebellious about being pushed around, and that might have been what sealed the deal for me on my selection. She just seemed real quiet and had a calm demeanor about her, and she sort of upheld that all the way through the competition. So that was one of the bigger points for me.
Definitely a good choice, without a doubt. All of our colts are brought by Lost Creek quarter horses, and Charlie Ramsey does a good job at selecting pretty evenly tempered and mannered in size and age and everything, grouped for everybody to choose from, so everybody has a fair shot. So when you went into round 1 with your selection, tell me a little bit about how that went.
Round 1, what I wanted to do it's sort of like a shakedown. Hey, let's see what number one, what is this filly going to offer me? What's she going to give to me that is going to be there? And she offered me a lot until I went to put the halter on her, and I saw right off the bat, I said, this filly don't want me to get to her head. And, I had to decide on the spot. I hadn't been in the pen about 5 minutes. I went ahead with my soft lariat and just slipped it around her head and worked her that way. And again, it goes back to what I saw. She didn't mind once she knew I had her for me to push her around.
Right.
And we just built on that. I think by the third session, she was walking to me rather than wanting to keep her head away from me to avoid being caught. And that's just a tribute to Lost Creek Cattle Company's breeding program, trainable horses.
Yeah.
I've always said in my program, good horses make great trainers.
Absolutely.
And that is a fact.
So when you finished round one, how did you feel like the round went, and were you ready to be in the place for round two?
I was very pleased at the end of round one with what we had accomplished. She had come around. She was leading really nicely. She was bending and flexing, and we actually had her turning on the forehand a little bit, disengaging those hindquarters. I was very pleased, and if I'd had 5 more minutes, I'd have had a saddle on her in the first round. She did very well.
Very nice. And for the folks watching the show that were not at the expo, when we do the colt starting, it's 3 days, and each trainer gets an hour in the morning and an hour in the afternoon with their animals on Friday, and an hour in the morning and in the afternoon Saturday, and an hour Sunday morning, and then the finale Sunday afternoon, which is 30 minutes. So, in a way, it's not a lot of time, but it's also a decent amount of time to not push them too hard, I feel like.
Right. You have to know when to push and when to let off. And I'm going to recount a little bit. I did saddle her in that first session. It just did that way, but I did.
Yeah.
And like I said, a tribute to just a good-minded individual, and that took us a long way.
So when you started round two, what were you thinking going in you wanted to accomplish?
Round two, I noticed, and some horses are this and some aren't. She was just not a natural loper. I could get her feet moving at the trot, but the lope just was not her gear. So I wanted to focus on that, and I wanted to get that first ride on her. And once again, very good-minded filly, and we accomplished both of those things.
That was really good. And the lope is part of the requirement in the finale, right?
Yes, it is. And I was very fortunate when we went in the finale. She just nailed it. So
good. So when you finished round two, were you satisfied with your progress for the day?
Honestly, with round two, I thought in my mind I wanted to be a little further, but that I'm going to chalk up to just the trainer in me. I always want to be further along than I am because that helps me push myself.
Absolutely.
To help them achieve more.
And I really appreciated the fact that you were taming that to do what the horse wanted to do and needed to do as well, and you knew when to let off the pressure as well. So that you did a great job throughout the whole colt starting.
Well, I appreciate that, and that's something, if we push too much, we get them scared, especially one that's not been handled a whole lot. And when they're reacting out of fear, at that point you're not training.
Yes.
You're just going to be chasing them around. You always want them learning. You're teaching them to always learn from you, and that's very important. Absolutely.
That's something that's real important to me about my whole expo and all of my business ventures is I'm here for the horse. He comes first, and I appreciate the fact that everybody there respects that and adheres to that. So great job. Now when you got up on Saturday, we were ready to start round 3. How did round 3 go?
Round 3, I think, may have been the best round of the whole event for me besides the finale. she just came to life in round 3. She was actually, you always want weight in your horses. You want them waiting on what you want them to do, and she was waiting on me the whole time, and that, as a trainer, that just makes my day. I know I can go places with the horse that's going to wait on me, and that's exactly what she was doing. Still, at that point, we're working on getting her feet moving at the lope, and she was just doing better. Just little. As a trainer, we say we want 1% improvement every time we work them, and she was giving me 1% plus.
That's really
all throughout.
That's really good. I remember seeing little glimpses and pieces of you working with her different times of the day as I was running around like a crazy woman, and it looked like you guys were communicating exceptionally well.
Yes, she was latched on to me. I was honestly, I could pull everything off of her. No halter, no lead rope, nothing on her, and she was just hooked to me, and like I said, waiting on what I wanted, and that's just amazing when you get to that point.
I agree, because that joining up is a very strong sign that you're doing a great job.
Well, thank you.
So when you finished round 3, you were really feeling really good. How did round 4 go?
Round 4 was pretty much in my mind a repeat of round 3, pushing a little bit more, because we're getting to where we're working on round 4. We know we've got round 5 on Sunday morning, and then it's the finale. So we're pushing. We're trying to how much can I throw at her, and she's going to take it. And I've got to say that she took everything I threw at her.
Is that where you started introducing the obstacles to her?
We sort of did obstacles all throughout. Putting tarp down in the round pen, tarp up on her back, and things like that. We just did more of it. What can she take?
Right. And so round 4 progressed nicely as well. So that was really good.
It certainly was. I hadn't talked about the backup. She was a little bit sticky on her backup, and it's sort of a dressage philosophy. A lot of times I won't back the horse for the first 30 days, but I said, you know what, that's a requirement. So what I did with the backup, I just played with it throughout.
Yeah.
And in round 4, I think she backed maybe 1 or 2 steps, and I said, hey, that's good. I'm just going to let it go.
Yeah. So by the end of round 4, then you've got her to the point where you can catch her, you can pick up her feet, you can saddle her, you can do walk, trot, lope, and some obstacles. So that's pretty amazing.
It's absolutely amazing, how much these animals can absorb in a short period of time. And I will tell you, she not only was she mentally exhausted, she was physically exhausted as well, and she just kept on trying to do what I asked. And as a trainer, I can't ask any more than that.
Absolutely. So Sunday morning rolls around. What was your strategy for the day on Sunday?
First strategy on Sunday was to get over my nerves so I could be effective with her, because, man, the finale's coming, and it's excited, and yes, it's a competition. You might have heard in my mic time, I can't remember, I think it was on session number 5, I told everybody, I said I went back on that back wall first thing this morning, and I had a little word with God, and prayed for His grace and His blessings, and just let this day be what it'll be. And there's no doubt in my mind that's what put me where I wound up in the competition. There's no doubt in my mind. It's God's work, not my work.
I agree. It certainly never hurts to have a word when you need it.
Absolutely.
So round 5 started. So what and all did you get done in 5?
In round 5, it's more pushing and seeing what they'll take. We finally got those feet moving at the lope. She loped 5 or 6 laps in the round pen with me both directions, and that just blew my mind, because before I think the most loping when I'd gotten under saddle was maybe like a half lap or a quarter lap, and man, she just opened up and she gave me her heart, and I honestly, my wife was my pen wrangler, and I looked over at her and I said, man, this is just good.
Absolutely. Now, let's talk. Go ahead.
I didn't talk about in round 4. It was our first opportunity to go out in the big pen outside of the round pen.
Right.
And got her out there, and as you would expect, she tightened up a little bit, but we just took things real easy. I didn't push one thing on her out there that first time, and when I went back out in the big pen in session 5, she was riding around just like she did in the round pen, which is another good tribute to what Lost Creek's doing and the good-minded horses they're offering to the public.
Absolutely. And for the folks that are watching, you may be able to see, we set up 3 round pens within the big arena, and the colt trainers and the colts are in the round pens when they're working. And in round 4, they're allowed to go out into the main arena, which is, now that baby's out of his comfort zone, and he's out there amongst the people and the crowds and a whole different scenario. So it's almost, in some cases, it could be almost like starting over. So she took all that really well, like a champ, and was reflective of your training and her breeding, for sure.
Absolutely. Once again, good horses make great trainers.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Our souls wander in similar places. Even though we may not know each other, we touch the same wind, we walk under the same sky, and our hearts wander in the same dreams. We are one, women just like you and me. Our show explores women in the horse industry as they share their dreams, challenges, successes. What drives these women? Well, let's find out. So then it was time for the finale. So what was your strategy going into that?
First strategy was let's meet all of those elements that are required to be eligible in the finale. We had a tarp to walk over, we had a bridge to walk over, we had to mount, dismount, we had the back 3 steps. I can't even remember all of them now.
Right.
Take care of all of those elements. We had to drag a log, and once we got all those accomplished, and she did all of those with flying colors, even the backup, which I was a little bit stressed about. She just came right into that chute and backed right up, and that was a big release for me. Hey, the elements are taken care of, and then we had our remaining time to freestyle, and honestly, I just cut it loose.
Right.
Let's just see what she'll do. We walked around, we trotted around, we trotted over everything forward and backwards, and loped around a little bit, and it was just great. That big feeling of relief when you feel like you've accomplished a goal, it was just simply awesome.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So in the colt starting, I believe that you finished second.
Yes, ma'am.
And that was a wonderful job, like you say. I know that the judges were down to minute fine points when they were doing the judge, and Jerry said it was one of the hardest ones he'd ever had to judge because everybody was so close. So great job on all of that.
Well, thank you, and I would not have wanted to have been sitting in one of those judges' chairs because it was tight across the board. All the way through, you could find with every trainer, man, they came a long way. You could look at every trainer and say that.
Yeah.
So yes, my hat's off to everybody in the competition.
Yeah, and what a great feeling it is to compete against trainers who are really good and know you can hold your own and place, with them shoulder to shoulder, and everybody there was at that caliber, so it was fabulous.
It was absolutely amazing to be a part of. I felt very honored and very blessed to be there.
Well, we were very fortunate to have you, without a doubt. So tell us a little bit about what your plans for the rest of the year hold and your future goals.
Well, as we said before, this was my first colt starting competition.
I didn't realize that, Jeff.
It was my very first colt starting competition. I've competed all over the country, showing in this, that, and the other thing, but my my very first colt starting competition, and I'll be honest, I wish we had one every month.
Well, that's awesome.
It just did something for me. I really enjoyed it. Wish there were more of them. But as for our plans for the rest of the year, my son's 13. We're hoping to take him to the Appaloosa Youth World in July, 1st of August, and do that. And we're working with another trainer here locally, Skylar Lawson Performance Horses, and what a partnership we're going to have there. It's going to be very exciting.
That's really good. Now, for our audience, something that I haven't discussed in any of the episodes is the pen wrangler, because that's a pretty important part of the team, to get this job done. And would you tell them a little bit about, what that person does and how they assist the trainer? Because yours was your wife, and you guys work together every day and work great as a team.
Absolutely. Without the pen wrangler, none of what I accomplished could happen. Like Miss Rose just said, my pen wrangler was my wife, and we have started hundreds of colts together. And she knows what I'm looking for in that pen. I don't even have to ask her. I just look at her, and she knows.
Right.
And, without that kind of a relationship with her, none of it could have happened. My hat's off to her as well. She tolerates me, but she knows what I want and what I need when I'm in that pen with the colt. She knows exactly what to do. If she's got to push one around, she knows where to be, and she knows, we talked about pushing and when to back off. She knows when to do that, and that's so very important.
It really is. In the competition, the pen wrangler is allowed to hand the trainers things and assist them, but they're not allowed to actually touch the horse at any point in time. Did you use a ponying horse?
I did not use a pony horse. We had one there, but I didn't feel like with this filly that we needed to bring him in and use her, because I could push her around without another horse.
That's good too. That's very good. All right. Well, is there anything else that you'd like to tell our viewers about the colt starting or about your farm?
Not so much about my farm. I would like to extend a big thank you to you and Cushing Media Productions for putting on a great event. We certainly hope to see and be involved in more of them.
Well, you definitely will be. We definitely want to include you in all of our future things. So I really appreciate you being there, Jeff. And tell us how people can reach you if they would be interested in asking you questions or have you train a horse or come to their farm and do some stuff or future colt startings.
Contacting me is fairly simply. We have a Facebook page. It's Hillcrest Farm in Woodfield, Virginia, and always have my phone with me. My phone number is 276-620-3938, and we welcome any questions, whether you want to send a horse or not. I'm available to answer anybody and everybody's questions all day long. Don't mind doing it at all.
You got a very big compliment from Sarah Chastain, that was one of the fellow colt starters, when I interviewed her, because she told me how much she treasured the friendship that she had made with all the colt starters, and that you and her had been on the phone talking, and that you had helped her with a problem that she was having. So hats off to you for being not only a good trainer but a good sport.
Well, thank you for that, but my hat's also off to Miss Sarah. She's simply awesome, and I told her, I guess it was about halfway through the competition, and we were talking about things and everything, and I was offering help, and she just sort of gave me a look, and that look like, why are you helping me? We're competing. I said, girl, that's what you get when you're part of this family.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You get the help of your competitors, because that's just how we do things.
That's right. That's one thing that I have really enjoyed. When I don't show at all, so when I first started, I was a little nervous about how that would go and if it would be ugly, because I want to promote good things and not anybody being jealous of anybody. And I have never had that issue with my colt startings and my expos. Is everybody's family and everybody helps and is just so generous with their knowledge.
That's absolutely right. had never met Johnny.
Yeah.
And you know, we hit it off right off the bat and talked and supported with one another all the way through. And the same with Amelia and Carly. It was absolutely awesome. And it's just something we do. We don't have to think about doing it. It's just something we do. Anybody in the horse training business, we support and uphold one another. And like I said, we're family. That's just how it is.
Absolutely, Jeff. Well, I appreciate you being on the show today, and I'll let you know when we post the link so you can share it on your website.
All right. Thank you, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Jerry King from King's Border Collies. We use Border Collies around here. They're the #1 dog, as far as I'm concerned, the smartness and the help they do. I train cutting horses and sorting horses. They help me every day with my cows. They go out in the pasture. I don't ever go out in the pasture to get cows. I open the gate, they go get them, they bring them, put them in. They take them back out of the pen. Any separating and sorting I want to do, I do with my dogs. I could take these dogs to take my cows and dump them out. I always tell people at Walmart, and take one dog and either put them in a trailer or bring them back home. I had my cows get out about 20 years ago, and they left. I found half of them downtown in a housing development. I took one dog and brought all the cows home down the highway. So they're very handy dogs, they're very intelligent dogs. So, but they're definitely my dog, #1 dog. Buddy? If you notice, he's very in tune to me and watching what I want and waiting for me to give him the signal. Now he's supposed to stay with me around right. He knows his left right a little better than some of the customers I have here do. Stop. Walk up. He loves his job now. He'd rather do that than eat. But this is what we look for in a cow dog. If you ever decide you want one, give me a call. We have puppies all the time. This is a young dog. I just started breeding some, so we have puppies off of him. We have puppies off of him all the time for sale, and young dogs. We have started dogs, and we train dogs for other people. So if you have a dog you want to get started, just give me a call. Thank you.